welcome to Alton Towers Resort. It is time again, for the second time actually only this year, for us to come back to Alton Towers to check out the rides and attractions, and of course Scarefest, our favourite time of the year. Now, we came up really early in the season. When we came up, there was no David Walliams Land wasn't open. It was due to open sort of the following week, so we've yet to go on Gangsta Granny, which is remarkable. Middle of October, we haven't been on it yet. So there's a new ride for us there, and there's also the Twister up there as well for us to go on. Now, we actually started down at Wicker Man. You'd have seen a few shots of Wicker Man. Opened on time, running really well. And we've also just done 13 around the corner, which again, free train operation, running really well. So we thought I'd come and give the roller disco a go. Now, the reason for this is, although, yeah, sure, at Alton Towers, it's not running great at all. This is a brand new fair trade waltzer, Collins waltzer actually, which will be travelling around the, I'd say Midlands area. I think they're Liverpool based. We expect to see it probably early next year at Knutsford, other places like that, assuming it's definitely not staying at Alton Towers next year, which I can't imagine it will be. But this is its station, and I have a big tick to say, done it. So we've been told that Smiler has been shut for the last few days, and indeed Galactica has also been shut for the last few days. So I say we'll get on all the rides, we'll get on all the ones that are open. However, for me personally, you know, it's always Nemesis, Wicker Man and 13, two of which were already done by 10:30. Might even give Rita a bash today. Doesn't seem too busy at the park. It's midweek. I've lost Rita. There it is. It's midweek. It's not expected to be too busy today. So yeah, get on some rides. But a couple of coasters done. We're going to slow it down a bit now and head up to David Walliams Land. As I said, not somewhere we've been yet. Really looking forward to seeing exactly what Gangsta Granny is all about. As we head up to David Walliams Land for the first time, Trick or Treat is the new attraction for Halloween for 2021. I think it's replacing the Monster House, which has now been overtaken by the David Walliams ride. And it seems that Darkest Depths, to be fair, it seems that Darkest Depths has got a little bit darker. Ironic it sounds, I appreciate that. But it does sound like it's become more adult themed than it has children themed. So yeah, here's Trick or Treat. So I think it's quite well documented. The back end of the old Charlie building. I say Charlie actually, I think it's more Toyland Tours to be honest with you, where you used to go around the back and have the final kind of scene in the boat's return. Been pretty much unused, so I think Trick or Treat is using that space. It's not a maze we're going to be doing, because I think it is predominantly for kids. I don't even think my kids would be going in there, to be honest with you. However, it is worth saying that we are going to be doing all 4 mazes for the first time in years, to be honest. We always miss 1 or 2. We never kind of do them all at once. So yeah, we'll be doing all 4. We'll have a review of all 4. I have a feeling that 1 or 2 of them might not be back next year. So, you know, Alton Mine Tours springs to mind. I don't think we're back next year. So, yeah, really, really looking forward to getting in all of those and giving you a review of those. But here's our first look at David Walliams Land. Now then, I appreciate people may have seen this already, but for me walking in, obviously the wave swinger used to be on the left, which was taken down a little while ago. The carousel's been moved there with fabulous Fandango. The Twister ride moving there. And funnily enough, actually, it does look a little bit more permanent than some of the other rides. And I think it really fits the area as well, to be honest with you. I think it really fits the area. Granted, there's a few lights not working. I don't know where this one's been hired from. As far as I'm aware, all 4 rides that are here have been hired. They're not the parks. Certainly those ones down there aren't the parks. I'm pretty sure this one's the same. And of course, we want to do Gangsta Granny the ride, which by the looks of things is closed. Of course it's closed. It's closed because we want to go on it. So I think we'll give the Twister a bash while we're up here, and we'll just see what happens with Gangsta Granny and see whether or not it opens whilst we're on the Twister. So Flavio's Twister thing, Fandango Dance, whatever it's called, it looks fairly permanent. I don't believe it is the parked ride by any means. I think it's been hired in much like the other ones have, but actually it runs really well. I was expecting it to be really slow. It's not the quickest by any means, but it's certainly not the slowest Twister I've been on this year by any stretch. Now, I've just been, of course, in Hecht, A Legend of the Towers, which goes right the way across there. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Still one of my favourite dark rides. The only thing I will say is the final scene is so quiet. So quiet, need it a little bit louder. Now, we're going to go see if David Walliams has reopened or not. The random driving school, still themed Cuckoo Cars, is still here, but we're heading over to David Walliams. So here is Gangsta Granny the ride. It is still sadly closed at the moment. Something we really want to get on, and then it kind of divides into Cuckoo Cars. I don't really get it. Now, I'll reserve judgment on the area until we've been on Gangsta Granny, to be honest with you. You know, there's a couple of rides here. You've still got the jump as well, the little frog hopper there, which has kind of moved back to its original location with the carousel moved back down the bottom. I'm not overly overwhelmed by the area at the moment, but that could change. That could change depending on exactly what Gangsta Granny is like. Hopefully we'll get our first ride on that today. Cross fingers, it will be today. But until then, we'll just have to go and ride some more roller coasters. It's hard not to just view the towers. I have to say, when you get up close, they do look a little bit more derelict than they do back from the green. But you can see work has been done. Glass has been put in. I don't really know what the finished goal is of these, to be honest. Don't know whether the finished goal is to get them completely restored back to original or not. Obviously you can see blacked out parts which have been used for mazes, attics up the top. But I think the Alton Mine Tours is actually quite low, so not as many mazes in there as what there once used to be. Toxic Junkyard, I believe, is over there. Darkest Depths is up by 13, and obviously we've seen the Trick or Treat as well. That's for later. That's for later. Now, we know Smiler has been closed for a few days for a 2-day routine maintenance. A few days for a 2-day routine maintenance. I'm a big fan of the Jumper ride, but as you can see, barriers have been taken out, shutters are down. I'm not going to say it's looking too hopeful to get on mixtape today either. So currently Smiler is closed, there's no sign of activity on it. As I said, it's been shut for the last few days, we've been told. Mixtape is closed, been told that's been shut for the last couple of days as well, which is a real shame. I love this ride. It's not new by any means, it is something I've ridden before, whereas Collins Waltz brand new this year, so it was nice to get on that this year. This one isn't new, but it's a great ride. It's a good filler ride as well. So needless to say, even though it's not busy at the park, everyone that's come down here, it's either Enterprise, which is open, or Oblivion. And Oblivion, as you can see, the queue has got really big for it. So we'll save Oblivion for later. It's not an urgent one, to be honest with you. And I think I might go and have a look for something sweet. I fancy an ice cream. Shouldn't be a shock to anyone on the channel really, but I fancy an ice cream. Cheated today, took the Sky Ride over to Nemesis. 15-minute queue, it's actually the shortest of all the coasters, which are open, obviously. There it goes. Again, it's just another sight you don't get bored of. I hope they give it a good jet wash during the closed season. Bear in mind, it was only a couple of years ago they completely painted it up. It has gone a little green. So really hoping it gets a jet wash. Round he comes. And off it goes. Let's get flying over there. A real photogenic coaster as Nemesis, from just about every angle. They're wishing now that they just kept the name Air, as Galactica really doesn't mean anything anymore. still a massive fan of it, to be fair. I do love the flying coaster, and I appreciate this was the first, which is really the reason why, you know, in arguable terms, it's not that good, to be fair, compared to modern day ones. It's quite weird, obviously, because Nemesis has aged really well, and that is flying around the track. Oh, amazing. It's aged really well, and you know, I think even the other rides, I think even Oblivion's Drop, although people criticise the ride for being short, has aged really well. I think Air probably, Galactica probably hasn't. It's a fun ride. It's certainly not a thrill ride by any means. It is a fun ride, but I think every one that's opened since has been better. So it's changed in the dual queue line. You're now queuing up the top here with the animation right down the bottom down there. Completely different. They're stuck in the middle of a school group, which is just brilliant. I don't know what the need for is in the change in here. I don't know. Anyway, we'll get through the school group. Jules next. There is Jewel, the haunted house strikes back, and fortunately this is no longer one way going down here, so we can go back that way. I think we say about Jewel every single time is that it's just that the UV lights, the dark lights used in there, are so bright. When you can see the mechanics of the monsters, it's not a good look, to be honest with you. I prefer the sound. I know I've said this every vlog. I prefer the sound to what it was. Target system's all right, does cut off a bit early, but it's quite strenuous on the arms, to be fair. It's the only downfall. I think the work done on Tomb Blaster, if it was done on here, maybe to restore it back to, you know, exactly how it was, would be far better, to be fair with you. Although Tomb Blaster's in diabolical condition with all the effects working. I don't know. So the entrance there has changed. You now walk up to the right and you walk over, and all the scenes are on the left where you used to walk through the middle of it. Again, it just seems a pointless change. A pointless change that would have cost money. You know, spend the money on the ride. Nicest way possible, spend the money on the ride. I think it needs some love. It needs some love. I think Merlin would really, you know, these are both this and Tomb Blaster, they're old sort of attractions. Both really need just a touch up. Bring back to former glory, and I think, you know, adds massive value. They really do add massive value. But have you experienced it this year? What did you think of it? It wasn't open when we came in April. It's the first time that we've managed to get on it. It was alright. It was alright. Just a bit gutted that, you know, growing up with these rides and seen them in better condition, and you know, with advances in technology and animatronics and lighting, they should be getting better, not worse. But there we go. Right, Runaway Mine Train. Haven't been on this year either, so I think this might be the next stop. I'm guessing there's an inherent problem with this one, as it does have its own, this ride is currently unavailable board screwed to the post. Although they are actually sort of cleaning the leaves away. I have to say, there is a lot of rides closed today which aren't advertised anywhere as being shut, apart from on the app once you're sort of here. But definitely won't be getting on the Congo River Rapids today, which is a real shame. However, choo-choo, do rather love the journey on a Runaway Mine Train. First time in 2021. Seems weird coming in mid-October, and it's like the first time I've been on that, but it is indeed. But here's the current state. Yeah, shame, because obviously the park doesn't really have any water rides anymore unless you want to go and get soaked on battle galleons. The rapids is a really nice distraction, but I'm guessing by that sign that's also been closed a while. We went down to the Tower Street to try and find a meal deal with a hot dog and fries. Unfortunately, the fry machine isn't working. So the other one was in Forbidden Valley. Now, I have to say, last time we were up there, it was shut about half hour ago. But we're gonna go and check, see whether it's open, because they seem to be the only ones that are doing a meal deal. No point just buying a hot dog and a drink when it comes to more money when it would be buying a meal. So whilst we're on the Sky Ride, we'll just give you some views. I have to say, I think the magic of Alton Towers is not what it used to be. You know, rides closed today is just astronomical. We still can't get into Gangsta Granny now, mid-afternoon. You know, the Jumper ride mixtape, that's definitely not opening today. Smiler, there's no sign of life whatsoever on the Smiler. And there's other rides as well. Congo River Rapids, shut. It's just no advertisements anywhere about anything, and it's really disappointing, to be honest with you. When we come quite a long way, to be fair, to Towers. It is such a shame, there's just no notification or anything. However, contrary to what normally happens, Wicker Man and 13 opened early and we got on them. Now the queue for Wicker Man is dying down. It's probably because it's just after lunchtime, or around about lunchtime for a lot of people. Wicker Man is another one we want to get back on to today. And then fingers crossed for the Scarefest day that actually things are open. It's snuck open. Oh, it does look rather nice in here.
It was just spam.
Your Royal Box will see 8 bottles for your 9-hour non-stop boiled.
I've got the book. I've got the Gangsta Granny
Gangsta Granny, the ride in the world of David Walliams here at Alton Towers Resort. Formerly Cloud Cuckoo Land, although still part Cloud Cuckoo Land, don't get me started on it. So the ride, I have to say actually, I did quite enjoy it. It's pretty much, you're sitting in, I don't know, you're sitting in Postman Pat's car, is the best way of me describing it. And then you kind of go round and it stops at various scenes. There's curtains and dividers between every scene. It is very projection led, very heavily projection led to be fair. It flows quite nicely. There are moments I think it could go a bit faster because there's not quite enough going on, but yeah, it's not offensive. It's not offensive at all. Now in terms of the area itself, I have to say it's a bit like how I feel about CBeebies Land. It's literally the same area as what was here before, just with another coat of paint. That's it. And the problem is these buildings, some of them are so old that, you know, it doesn't matter how much paint you put on them, they just don't look great. They just don't look great. When you think in this year alone, you know, we've been treated to a whole new kind of look in croc drop, which actually looks really nice. I know the paint is peeling at the top, but it looks really, really nice. You look even, you know, to probably the best investment of the year so far, down at Portons Park with Tornado Springs, which looks spectacular. And then you look at this. Yeah. So obviously it's not just Gangsta Granny, it's the World of David Walliams. I don't know whether they're planning to add more to it. You know, I know they're using other characters, but again, look at the quality of Tornado Springs. Take a look at this, and this is what's rivaling them. This is, you know, the money maker, if you will. Now, you know, I know maybe less budget goes into it, and it's all been done based on the fact it's David Walliams and the name alone is going to do it. But, you know, even Flight the Skyline, can you imagine having that as a 4D cinema? Or Flight the Skyline, a flying theatre, you know, a slight modification to it, rather than just a building again that, you know, I think even in my lifetime of visiting Alton Towers, it's probably on its 6th or 7th repaint. Yeah, I can't help but say I'm a little bit disappointed with it, but is it just me? What do you think? What do you think of Alton Towers and the World of David Walliams, and indeed Gangsta Granny? As I said, quite impressed with Gangsta Granny. I think actually it does a job. it just feels like the whole area is a complete mistreat, and I don't understand the Cloud Cuckoo cars at the bottom. They don't fit anything. They are literally in a world of their own. Let us know in the comments. What do you think? Afternoon has crept in, and of course Oblivion is now a 0-minute queue. Now we have actually seen the Smiler start going around, so everyone's attention is sort of drawn over towards the Smiler, where I was quite happy to ride Oblivion with no queue. Funny enough, when we were sitting in the brake run, he asked us to get off it, lower the restraints and plug it back in for him when we got off. I must have missed the point where I work for Alton Towers, so needless to say, he can do that himself. It's entirely up to the Alton Towers staff to make sure the ride is secure even without passengers when it leaves the station. I don't think they should be asking guests to do that for them. But 6 trains, eaten through the queues this afternoon. Love Oblivion. As I said, I still think the drop really holds up. We've been on other dive coasters. I still think the drop holds up even if the other elements aren't there. Will the Smiler open this afternoon? There's a few water dummies taking a ride now, so perhaps it is. But from Alton Towers, we are sort of calling it a day. Scarefest tomorrow. We'll be back for mazes, and let's see what else is open tomorrow. Just like that, it is Scarefest day. The fences are down. We could go wandering onto the field now, but we won't because there's nothing open. So we will be catching the show. We don't know when the show is, but we will be catching the show, and of course going inside the mazes. Whilst we can't take you inside the mazes, we will review them after each one we've done. Expecting it to be busy today, being Scarefest, but can't wait. Genuinely can't wait. The views in the morning are just spectacular. Soak them in before carnage hits at Alton Towers. A much busier day at the park today. Smiler's testing, but he's still not open. But oddly enough, we've read on the app that Mixtape is open, so it looks in a horrendous state yesterday. But apparently it's open today. Smiler is going around a lot more, but they are telling people it is going to be closed all day. Water dummies going for a ride? Yeah, we're gonna have a look at Mixtape. Now because of that, obviously, much the same as before, Oblivion gets a huge queue because of it. But yeah, Mixtape, remarkably, is open today.
For the safety of yourself and others, please do not run across the platform and mind yourself.
I'm guessing they've, well, I don't know, maybe they've worked on it all night and that's why it's open. But there's nothing, there is one cable tied off. I love this ride, to be fair. This ride's great fun. Yeah, okay. Well, they had all the bars on the floor yesterday, and it didn't look like it was opening anytime soon. But there it is. We haven't been on it here yet. It is a ride I've been on many times before, but I actually quite like it. So nothing else to do, to be honest. I'm not queuing 50 minutes for Oblivion. It's not a terrible queue. I don't think they've loaded it particularly well, and it looks like there's one out of sync. But yeah, Mixtape's open. I'll eat my words from yesterday. I mean, with the enthusiasm behind loading this, honestly, she could have looked more miserable or walk at a slower pace. They've gone from loading all but one car, which is actually taped off, to leaving 4 of them blank. I don't know if the ride has an inherent problem. I said it wasn't open yesterday. My God, this 0-minute queue has been 38 minutes already. But we are at the front, and I do like this ride. The ancestors are out in force today. but the ancestors tend to roam around the Tower Street earlier, then every so often break into a song and dance, which, as you can guess, is now. It's a bit strange that they all sort of face forward, bearing in mind you can't stand in front of them to watch it, like anywhere, because you can't even be the other side, because obviously there's a car there. So it is a bit strange the way they face. It would be far better if they were interacting with the people that are queued down the sides watching.
Everybody's looking for something. Some of them want to use you. Yes, you.
So there is the Sin Bin there, one of the live shows on here. Obviously there's the kids ones, or the more kids ones as well, with skeleton guy, Phil. You know the ones, we'll catch them again later. Last time you saw us, we were on the Santori Rota Techno Jumper Jumper, which is mixtape here. Wasn't open yesterday, but is open today. A lot of it being taped off. Really, really slow loading, but I do love that ride. And however much we kind of criticise, and I think we all do it, to be honest with you, on how the theme park funfair rides or flat rides are run, that was as close to, if not as good, as the previous ride I had on that at the Valentine's Fair a couple of years ago. So yeah, don't always take it for granted. Running really, really well. It's on a great cycle as well, really great cycle. So yeah, this is the stage area for Scarefest, which has been used all year. I imagine it will be used for fireworks. You can see the fireworks posts are all up as well. They're getting preparation for the end of the season event. I think now this will pretty much stay like it all the time, to be honest with you. Can't see why it wouldn't. It is a bit odd that tables are separated here. They're in long lines there. A little bit peculiar the way they've laid it out, but it does look really, really nice. Something that Towers do is decorate Tower Street. As you walk in, obviously you have all of this. And then of course, you look over here to the Towers. It's a great view. It is a great view. One of the best theme park views you'll get, looking over at the Towers as you walk in. Wouldn't think it's a theme park. Still no sign of the Smiler. It's very busy, but we do have other rides to try and get on, all in that direction. The first maze of the day will be the attic, located in the wonderful Towers. It does look gorgeous here today. It's a little bit colder than it looks though, to be fair. Now then, we've done this the last couple of years. I thought last year it was a bit shorter and it definitely lacked an ending, so it'll be really interesting to see what's changed this year, if anything, to be honest with you. It is a fantastic looking maze, and you do go up the stairs. It does feel like you're in an attic. I know it sounds stupid, but you know, a lot of mazes you go in are just named, and there's no real sort of sense that you're anywhere but a tent. Very, very different with the Alton Towers mazes, to be fair with you. Of course, it doesn't need to be dark outside to do this one. It is in complete darkness indoors, which is why we're starting here. Let's go in. I'll let you know what it's like when we get out. Up against the brick now of the fantastic Towers. And that was the attic. I have to say, it's the first maze we've done, but it's been one that Alton Towers have for the last few years that I've always felt sort of really creepy in. Again, because it's you have your little storyline and then you go up the stairs towards the attic. Quite claustrophobic up there. There are some really sort of small ceilings, some tight spaces. The scenery is incredible. It is probably, I think I've said before, their best maze they've done. I can't see any of the other two taking that away, in honesty, in terms of how it looks. I think the run through this year was far better than last year, and I thought last year the ending had got shorter. I'm sure it hadn't, but again, it felt much more compact and longer this year than what it did. Plenty actors in there, with quite a good finale actually as well, popping out of everywhere, getting in your face. I think the only thing with the last part is where it's quite dark and they use like a red, it's not really a strobe, you might be subject to miss some of the actors. Sometimes their presence is more important than just their voice in your ear. So we heard the voice in the ear and I kind of turned to the left, by which point I couldn't see them. So yeah, I think improvements could be made, but actually, apart from the length of it, which I'd like to see it a little bit longer, I don't know how possible that is on the location which it is, I'd like to see another 30-45 seconds, maybe another set, larger set added to it. It's quite obvious what's going on. You go in there, people go missing as you go through sort of the attic and bedrooms and things like that, and in the end you find out that you're effectively walking into a cooker where she's cooked them all. That's how it feels to me anyway. That's what I take away from it. But the attic, I like that maze. One of my favourites. We are now going to try and get in Darkest Depths. One we haven't done, especially since it's been up here. We heard great things about Darkest Depths. We always thought it was a kid's maze in honesty, but apparently it's kind of taken the turn of recent years with Trick or Treat taking on the children's aspect. So really looking forward to that. We have that. We have Altonville Mine Tours, which I've not done in a couple of years because I found it a bit boring, to be honest with you. But good value on the ticket this year. We're going to give that a bash, and of course the Junkyard, but we are going to wait till it gets a bit darker for that one. But out the door, on to the next maze. Now that's our first venture into Darkest Depths up here in the Dark Forest, or next to the Dark Forest, next to the roller skater. It looks, again, incredible. We've seen some really detailed mazes while we've been out and about at Extreme Scream Park, Screamfest, sorry, as well. And that rates right up there with incredible looking maze. It really is. You've got a lovely sort of pre-show entrance bit in a little sort of bar as you then enter the sort of a back corridor towards the ship. You're then greeted by the captain. It wasn't that clear that we had to stop and listen to him, to be fair, but we stopped and listened to him, and then you venture off into the ship where you meet sort of, I don't know, the crew. We meet the crew as you go along. Again, detail wise it's just amazing, but it's I'd say on the flow front it's not really clear that you're literally just going from room to room. The rooms look quite similar. I can't come back now. I think there was one sort of wind tunnel with a octopus squid towards the end, which is a a person with tentacles as the finale. Again, I would say that's got quite a weak finale, to be honest. I thought there was more coming to it than just a guy flapping a few squid arms around. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'd probably say it's a little bit open. There are some moments in there where, again, although it looks incredible, masses of space. Like you could fit 3 or 4 people next to each other, kind of space, at least 3. And it just, for a scare maze, doesn't quite do it for me on that front. Looks fantastic. Actors were brilliant in there. They made us smile. But in terms of scares, that would be right down there on the not likely to get scared in. But looks really good. Now certainly the mazes which we've seen already, so Attic, which we've been in, and we've seen at the end of the Junkyard, they've got tablets at the end with feedback on. Funnily enough, this one doesn't, but I'm guessing that they are looking to improve in the future. Maybe they feel this one's good enough. As a story maze, it's fantastic. Again, a little short, to be honest with you. You're kind of in and out quite quickly, even with a little story time, but I won't take it away from it. It's a nice looking maze. Great story. It's not that scary, to be honest with you. There's some really peculiar rock music going on, which doesn't fit any kind of theme or Alton Towers or anything, to be honest with you. So around the corner there's your entrance, and there's your exit to the Altonville Mine Tours. Pretty much as I remember it. I think there might have been 1 or 2 new things in there in the last couple of years. I'm sure everyone will say there is. I think one of the key things is obviously the lighting will have changed in there, because beforehand you used to have the magic lanterns. You either had a lantern or a helmet on with a light on, and that would kind of be split between the group. And then of course it had exactly the same problem at the beginning, where the groups got split up and you'd have everyone with the lights at the back and everyone at the front would fumble through. But that's kind of stopped a while ago, which is probably why the lighting has changed. It's still quite dark in there, and it's quite tight, confined, which I quite like. It does feel like it's has seen better days, to be honest with you. I think the scenery, I think we looked at it initially a few years ago and thought, ah, this is incredible. But I think even Alton have surpassed what they've got in there by a long shot, to be fair. You know, the walls, which look like rock work, if you accidentally bump into them, they've got a lot of movement where they're just cheap plastic. You know, there's a few shelving, a few kind of suits. Plenty of actors in there trying to give jump scares, to be fair. Not something I got a jump scare from, but, you know, there was a lot of girls in there that, you know, kind of in with, and you get, obviously they're screaming all the way. It's fairly short, to be fair. You know, and again, the finale at the end is exactly how I remember it. Pretty much non-existent, with not a lot going on, to be fair, to be honest with you. Just to be honest with you. You know, you've got to consider you pay a lot of money for the mazes when you come to these places. You know, I know there are rides and things like that as well, but you're paying on top for the mazes. I think Altonville Mine Tours is past its best. You know, the announcement at the beginning, which you might be able to hear over my shoulder now, still says if you're lucky enough to have a light, and please don't put your hands on the people in front of you. It's very old school, that hasn't been updated. You know, I don't remember the last time where I went through with a maze where you had to have your hand on, you know, people's shoulders. It's been very much a free flow experience now for many, many years. And of course, no one's having a light, so no one's going to be lucky enough to have a light. So yeah, a little bit outdated. I would say the whole concept is outdated, and this one hasn't got a feedback either. So I believe what they're looking at, I think Darkest Depths will stay for next year. I think this will go for next year, and I think they've already decided that this will probably go for next year. And then they're debating on whether or not they keep in the junkyard or the attic. I would say the attic is far better than this. I preferred the attic over Darkest Depths. Darkest Depths was better than this by a long shot, even though it was quite open, by a long shot. And I don't really hold out much hope for the toxic junkyard. It just looks like a scare zone that I don't think we should be paying money for. But we'll see. It's too early to tell. But that's Altonville Mine Tours. Have you done it recently? What do you think? Where does it rate in your Alton Towers mazes? Let us know in the comments below. Now, before Toxic Junkyard, we are going to do the Whispering Souls. It is dusk here. The GoPro does make it look a little bit brighter, but I just feel that once it gets dark, quite honestly, you won't see anything for us to show you. Now, the Whispering Souls is obviously greeted by this ridiculous rock music they're playing around the park, which is a real shame. But yeah, we're going to have a little look through here. Not something we've done before, because we always leave in daytime, but we're not today. Right, here we go, garden lights. So I'm guessing we follow the path. I can hear classical music. Okay. Right, not overly clear where we go. So, this way? Well, I know the disabled entrance comes under here. So, I don't know. I don't know. Very strange to make a focal point of the dog on the wall. Certainly makes a good focal point of that. It's a little bit peculiar because obviously when you enter there's a blockage to say come this way, and then once you're in here it just seems a bit of a free-for-all with people coming in all kinds of directions. And I know they're gardens, but I did think it was a fairly structured walk down here. But not seeing an awful lot of light coming from anywhere, really, to be honest with you. I can't really tell what these images are going through here. I think we've definitely gone the wrong way, because they're really nicely illuminated up the top there. That's frustrating. No, that doesn't look nice. Can we go up here? Oh, maybe we can go up here. A signpost here would be lovely, just saying hang a left through the blind corner that you can't see. And here's the conservatories, which were used as a garden centre at the beginning of the season. So what happened was we came down here and down these steps, and we've turned right instead of left. So I think it's quite obvious you should make your way down to the garden. We're going to go out the disabled entrance. It brings us right out by Toxic Junkyard, and again there's no real signage, to be honest with you. That was really underwhelming. Everyone's raved about the walk, the Whispering Souls, and how it is. Oh, so underwhelming. The lights I think are pretty much here all the time anyway. The music, the classical music, does not fit Whispering Souls. This is a real opportunity for them to put in a low-cost, spooky walk, if you will. They don't need actors, they don't need props or anything. You know, they've got speakers, they've got better lights. I mean, you've got whatever the projection is in the trees there. Loads of white lights, which are really just sort of guiding you through the forest, through the gardens. Although the gardens are beautiful, I can walk them during the day. I was expecting something a little bit different, to be honest. Just something a little bit different. I don't know. Am I being too cynical here? Let me know in the comments, I'm sure you will, but that's really underwhelming. I was expecting a nice ghostly walk, maybe a bit of fog, wouldn't have gone astray, a couple of smoke machines wouldn't have gone astray. Just didn't feel it. But Toxic Junkyard, I think it's got dark enough now that we can go to Toxic Junkyard, and that is our last maze of the day. Really annoyingly, it's shut for at least half an hour. So you pay your money, you get a time slot, and then it's closed for half an hour. Half an hour seems an awfully long time for it to be randomly closed in the middle of the day. So it's really put a bit of a spanner in the works, to be honest with you. Really put a spanner in the works. Something to behold, Wicker Man at night, if all the effects are working, and of course the top fire isn't on, which is a real shame. I'm pretty sure when it opens, first time actually, believe it or not, we've seen it at night, all these white lights weren't quite so prominent across there, but it does look incredible. Really underrated coaster, this one, I think. I think this has probably done more for Alton Towers than they anticipated when someone suggested they actually finally put the Woody in. I think it's a fantastic coaster, and it's got the right kind of sort of judder and roughness to it now after a couple of years. Yeah, love it, absolutely love it. Looks amazing, really does. There we have it, Alton Towers Scarefest. A lot of people did say actually they didn't change the logo on the front of the building this year, and they still haven't. So that is it, Scarefest, Scarefest 2021. We've been coming to Scarefest now for about 10 years. And we won't just review Scarefest, it's only our second trip to Alton Towers this year. I'm just gonna take a seat here, I hope you can see me. It's our second trip to Alton Towers this year, so let's just relive what we've gone through over the last day. Now then, first things first, Gangsta Granny. Done it a few more times. On reflection, actually I think it's quite a fun attraction. I think there are bits of it that could have been polished a little bit better, but it's actually quite a fun attraction. It's well put together, the story is quite clear. I've never seen Gangsta Granny before, or read, sorry, Gangsta Granny before. I knew what was going on. So yeah, actually big thumbs up for Gangsta Granny, to be honest. There are some definite quality issues around queue line and you know, painting and things like that, which are really simple, which they could have done something with and have chosen not to, which is a real shame, bearing in mind they had an extra year to do it. The whole World of David Walliams though is just a complete mess, to be honest. There's nothing really standout, shall we say. Obviously they got the World of David Walliams in to kind of refresh the Cloud Cuckoo Land area, and then they've left the Cuckoo cars down the bottom. Just such a mismatch. I kind of expected new props, I expected new buildings. It's just a repaint job of what was there. It's nice they've opened up the area where the wave swinger was, but ultimately they've not made any space any use of what they had there. They've got a 4D theatre there with nothing in, you know, a flying theatre would be incredible in there. You know, and they could have done, I'm sure they could have done a David Walliams one, I'm sure they could have done it. So yeah, really underwhelmed by the World of David Walliams, but really enjoyed Gangsta Granny. The ride probably would have been better just as a standalone attraction, to be honest, especially given that we don't know what's happening with the Twister for 2022. The rest of the park, well, it is disappointing they don't advertise closed rides. I appreciate rides can be available on and off, as you know, any park can, but people come to ride the Smiler. I'm actually not one of them. I don't like the ride at all. I find it very uncomfortable, but people come to ride the Smiler, and if you look on social media and you look around the park and people that you meet, they're like, I want to go on a Smiler, I want to go on a Smiler. I don't think it would be too much for them to say it's closed. They've said planned maintenance. I don't think they know when it's going to open, but it's not open for Scarefest at the moment. Probably will be by the time this vlog's up, to be honest with you. Congo River Rapids has been shut a while. Quite a lot was shut on off-peak day, and on Scarefest day it was back open again. A bit disappointed. Food was the other thing. The food selection here is god awful. It really is. All we wanted was a hot dog meal. There's two places that sell hot dog meal, in Towers Street and again by Nemesis, or in Forbidden Valley. The one in Forbidden Valley was closed. It was closed on peak and off-peak day, and the one down here doesn't have chips. Now I know it sounds really petty, but I want a hot dog meal. You pay £6 for a hot dog, £2.50 for a drink, or you can get a meal for £8.95. It kind of goes without saying that that's what I want, and I just couldn't get it. I had to go to the Burger Kitchen. You know, there's loads of places closed. You couldn't have got ice cream, you know, apart from that Nitrogeni's gone. There's a price list out there for something, but I don't know what it is because it's not there. Wasn't open, so you know, there's nothing there at all. As we said, the Burger Kitchen down in Mutiny Bay was closed. It's another big outlet. All the outlets apart from the donuts were closed in Forbidden Valley. It's just a bit of a shambles, to be honest with you. Now I know what you'll say. Yeah, they've got the Eastern Express, which is obviously open because Merlin don't run it, and because they don't run it, you don't get discount there. And of course, they've got all the old Oktoberfest stuff, which they're using for Scarefest as well, which is all right on a peak day. On off-peak day, you can't access it. But again, you go down there for a hot dog, it's £8 with nothing, no discount, no chips, no drinks, and you know, you've got to do these places on a budget. You know, when you consider the other parks, you know, Fort Parker have opened a brand new Ben & Jerry's this year. They've opened the Cookies this year. They've got the wonderful donut factory where you can get donuts and ice cream mixed together with popping candy and other bits and pieces as well. No sign of that here whatsoever. I don't want to eat pizza and pasta. It's pretty boring. I didn't really want to have burgers, to be honest, but I didn't have a choice. Chessington as well, they have a Ben & Jerry's shack. Still have a Ben & Jerry's shack. They also have, on top of that, the burrito, which is brand new. The lack of food options here is not great, especially when it's Merlin. You know, loaded fries was up in Forbidden Valley. We couldn't get loaded fries. It wasn't open. You could go to Chessington and get loaded fries, no problem. And this place is twice as big, and it ends up with massive queues for what's here. Now, Scarefest, the park is lovely decorated, and we did the mazes, to be fair, starting off with the best first, which was the attic, down to Darkest Depths, which we really enjoyed as well, to the Mine Tours, which just needs to be scrapped now, it's had its day, and then probably joint worst maze I've been in this year with Ashes to Earth, which was the toxic junkyard there. I didn't enjoy it at all. I didn't enjoy the look of it. It's far too open. Even at night, it's just, there's no scares coming your way in that maze. None at all. Really disappointed. A couple of people said it looks all right. I don't think it did. I think it just looked like a load of old props just thrown in there. Didn't enjoy it. I think it's fair to say now that with, you know, I think that people just need to get off the fence and stop pretending that Alton Towers is what it used to be. It's not the #1 theme park in the UK in my view. I'm not going to tell you what I think is the #1 theme park because I get hammered in the comments enough as it is. But I cannot believe anyone can defend this anymore. We come here, we look, you know, for a couple of days, and I'm bored halfway through day one. Bored of waiting for rides to open, rides opening late, not opening at all, lack of food. You know, no flat rides to go on. It's just got to a point now where, yeah, sure, it's great the retro squad are in, but what's going to happen next year? And how well are these retro squads run? Well, except the mixtape, which we went on actually and we really enjoyed, they're all run garbage, absolute garbage. So yeah, I don't know. Alton Towers for me is not what it used to be. It's not a 2-day stop. The only thing that makes it a 2-day stop is the fact that the queues are horrendous for what they've got here. Horrendous, because the park gets so busy. more flat rides, more dark rides that are entertaining. You know, we've all said about the rides that have disappeared and not been replaced, and it's still very much the case, to be honest with you. You know, we can't forget there was an attraction in where David Walliams was. There was a wave swinger extra in there as well, where they stuck a twister. You know, there was other rides like Bone Shaker around where they stuck the waltzers. You know, you could go on and on and on, not to mention the abandoned buildings in Subterra. So yeah, it's been all right. It's been all right. Fright Nights for me at Thorpe Park was far, far better this year than what Scarefest have been. Hands down, not even close. But let us know what you think. Have you been to Scarefest in 2021? We will obviously come to Alton Towers and we will enjoy it, because I always do. I think I'm sitting with Bear Grylls in the background there. And it's nice to get on Nemesis, and I love Wicker Man. Love it, love it, love it. But there's just not got a lot going for it, I don't think, anymore. I think it needs a big renovation and a big rethink. But from UK Theme Parks, my name's Adam. We'll see you next time.